Good evening everybody, thanks for tuning in, thanks for returning to my channel. This evening I'd like to do a video with regards to my 5 favourite things about the R1250R Sport. And then hand in hand with that, I'd like to talk about the 5 things that I don't really like about the bike, things that I think could possibly be improved. So stick around and I'll quickly go through with you the 5 favourites and the 5 fails as far as I'm concerned. So, first off, I have to say that my most favourite thing about this bike is the engine, and that shouldn't really come as a surprise to many of you out there. This is the R1250R, revised upward from the R1200, and it is a very, very smooth, very powerful engine. However, it's also very controllable. It's not a scary ride, the way that the power is delivered, and it's very progressive, and essentially you've got full control through the throttle response. You know, the power's there instantaneously, the torque is excellent all the way through the range, and it's a real fun way to ride the bike, and that's whether you're just cruising around town at 30 miles an hour or whether you're you know, pushing on up into the revs through the twisties. It's a really lovely engine, and I just think it is an improvement on the R1200. It is smoother, slightly torquier, and yeah, I really love the engine on this bike. So on to point 2, and my second favourite thing about this bike is the fact that it's shaft driven. Now, I've only owned one chain bike, and then I was straight onto this. So I was on a 650 Kawasaki Vulcan, and to be honest with you, I had the back wheel up all the time, always lubing up the chain, cleaning the chain, and it's a real chore. So the fact that this is shaft driven, it means it's enclosed, there's no mess, and it's not something you need to worry about. You know, you don't need to lube the chain, you don't need to clean the chain, because it's all enclosed and they sort it out, whatever needs to be done during the services of the bikes. I know in the past people have said that shaft drive, when you go to, when you pull the accelerator, when you twist the accelerator, the response isn't quite there and you can tell there's a difference. For me, I think it's a very smooth transition. It works excellently, and you know, it looks really nice as well, you know. But essentially, it's something I really like about the bike. I'm a bit of a clean freak, so it's one less job for me to worry about, and it's a great look to the bike, and it rides really well with that feature. It's really good. The third thing I really like about this bike, and I've not spent too much time talking about it, but it's the TFT dash. Now, when you look at the old 1200R, and I'll put a picture up if I can, you look at the screen. It's a good screen on the old 1200R, but this is a big improvement. The TFT screen is by far better than the previous bike and what screen that bike had on it. You know, the colour's very good, it's very bright, you can see everything you need to see, there's lots of information there, you've got the added connectivity to your phone and to your headset, so overall it's a really good feature, and it's something that I do enjoy about the bike, and it makes riding a lot easier, trying to find information that you may be looking for within the menus. So yeah, the TFT screen for me is a big tick, it's a big hit, and I personally feel it's the best TFT screen out there on the market at the moment, when you look at all the other bikes which have got that type of screen. On to point 4, and that would be the dynamic ESA. So I'm quite a big guy, and so the comfort side of things to me on a bike is very important. I mean, motorbikes by design, they're not the most comfortable vehicles in the world, and some of the smaller ones, definitely the suspension, if it's a bit too spongy, you know, and you feel the extra reverb through the bumps if you go over potholes and things like that. So the stability and the comfort of the ride is really important to me. So the way that ESA works, the settings and the options that you have, I've found it very easy to find a setting that is comfortable for me if I'm cruising going easy, or if I want to wind it on a bit and I want the suspension to be a little bit tighter. It's all really easy to use and understand. It's something that I think is well worth the extra money, especially if you're going to be doing quite a few miles on the bike. On the old 1200R, I went to Europe a few times on that, and I'll definitely be doing some longer tours on this bike in the summer of next year, in the spring and summer of next year. So it's a really good feature, and it's one that adds a lot of attraction to the bike for me. So we're on to number 5 already. There were so many things that I like about the bike, so it was difficult to come up with a top 5, to be honest with you, but just sneaking in at slot number 5 is the quick shifter, which when I first got the bike and I started to use it, I didn't really like the quick shifter, but that's simply because I wasn't used to using a quick shifter. Didn't really understand. I mean, to be honest, the clutch is buttery smooth anyway on this bike, but when you're pushing on, when you're going a bit quicker, if you want to accelerate quickly up from 20 to 60, that's when the quick shifter really comes into its own. And also equally, if you're slowing down quickly for a junction coming up or a roundabout, bang, 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 down on the quick shifter, and it's really good. Lovely to feel the way the bike cants slightly forward, the engine braking kicks in, and you know, a lot of the time if you ride planning ahead, looking ahead, you don't even need to use the brake when you're slowing down for junction. It's really good. It's a really good feature. So yeah, I really enjoy the quick shifter, auto blipper, whatever you want to call it. And 3 months in, I'm still learning how to use it, but it's really an excellent feature. And I would say, out of all of the things that you can retrofit on the bike, I would very much recommend, if you've got this bike or a GS or something like that and you don't have an auto blipper and you're looking to retrofit something, this is definitely a feature that I would go for. So like I say, this is 5 favourite things and 5 least favourite things on the bike. And I have had to do some thinking with regards to trying to find out 5 things that I don't like about the bike. Number 1 on my dislike on this list is the heated grips. Now they're an added extra if you add them onto the basic bike, of about 250 quid I think. And to be honest, they work and they keep your hands warm, but the temperature is either a little bit too hot or not quite warm enough mostly. So BMW, next year, please put in a 3rd or 4th phase. You know, I don't understand why they can't do that. Maybe there is a reason. Maybe some of you watching this video will be able to enlighten me as to why it is they can't go the way of the Oxford grips and give you know, 5 options or 4, you know, more options with regards to the heat level would be really good. But yeah, that's number 1 on my list of things that I don't like about the bike. Next dislike about the bike, and this isn't going to come as a surprise because most new bikes these days, when they come out, they have an issue in this area, and that is the rear of the bike. So it's quite big, it's quite chunky, it's maybe not the worst, and the fact that I've got LED lights on this one makes it a little bit more manageable, but you know, the fact that there is such a big market for tail tidies, it does say a lot about how manufacturers maybe they produce the bikes as stock, and I don't know if there's a deal going on between the manufacturers and the retro trade with regards to tail tidies, but I know that lots of people fit tail tidies, and the rear of the bike could be improved, could be, you know, slightly made to look a bit nicer, I think. Personally, I probably won't bother fitting a tail tidy simply because they're quite expensive and a little bit tricky to fit. Some of you may feel otherwise, but I know when I've looked at videos of people doing retrofits of tail tidies on their own, you literally take the rear of the bike apart down to its most basic pieces, so I don't really fancy doing that. So I won't be changing it, but it's something that I don't particularly like about the bike. It looks okay, but it could look better, and straight out of the factory it probably could as well. So again, something that perhaps BMW could consider improving in the future. So this next dislike about the bike is something that one of the viewers mentioned, and I don't do a lot of wet weather riding, to be completely honest with you. If I'm riding in the rain, it's because I've been caught in the rain. I normally only go out in the dry. I'm a bit of a fair weather rider. When we go on longer rides, if we're going on tour or something, then obviously you can't predict the weather that much and you just take the right equipment with you. But the rear tyre, when it is wet, it does create a lot of spray all over the bike. I mean, it's an issue on most naked bikes, I would imagine, and a tyre hugger will probably improve that situation. That's not something I've ever fitted before on a bike that I've owned, but I think the design could be slightly better so that there was a little bit less spray going everywhere all over the rear of the bike when you're riding in the wet. Okay, so on to number 4, the things that I don't like about the bike. And this is a minor niggle really, but it's something I do notice when I'm manoeuvring the bike around, and that's that the kickstand could be slightly bigger. I mean, like the actual foot of the kickstand could be slightly bigger, so that when you're putting your left heel down to try and kick that out, you could find it a bit easier. It's not so bad when I'm wearing the casual shoes, but when you're wearing big boots, it's a bit more difficult to find. I know you can fit things to the bottom of the kickstand to make it bigger, but I don't really like the look of any of those things. So, you know, I will personally struggle on with it, but if they could make that improvement of just making it slightly more, you know, slightly bigger so it's sticking out a bit more and it's easier to find, that would be really handy. So, okay guys, we're on to number 5, and this is kind of obvious really as well. You know, for a bike made by BMW, you would expect this, and going into any purchase, I would say everybody, you need to look at the running costs, you need to look at, you know, the tyre replacements, the servicing, the brake pads, all those things that could potentially need replacing during the life of the bike. And the bike servicing is expensive. You can buy a package from BMW for 3 years servicing, and that's nearly £900. So you're talking about 300 quid a year to service a motorbike. And that's more than I paid to service my car. So it's a lot of money. I mean, out of the insurance groups, the BMW R1250R is lower than some of the bikes out there. I mean, when I was looking at a Kawasaki ZX 1000 or a Super Duke, the insurance premiums are much more for those. So it's not so bad on the insurance, but the running costs with regards to the servicing is quite expensive. And I think, you know, to be honest, I think it's a little bit much, to be honest. But I think if you're going to take the plunge and buy a premium motorbike of any kind, then the servicing costs, they follow hand in hand, and you know, you've just got to bite the bullet on those, I think, really. But yeah, one of my least favourite things about the bike, again, number 5, is the servicing costs. So everybody, thanks very much for watching. Those are my 5 favourites and 5 least favourites about the BMW R1250R Sport. Please do leave me your comments below. Thank you very much for everyone for viewing. Thanks to everyone who subscribed, and obviously if you would like to subscribe and see more from me, then obviously click that subscribe button, and the videos as I make them will appear instantaneously for you. So once again, thanks very much indeed for watching, guys, and as always, I'll see you next time, and until then, please do ride safe.